This is what happened when UFC Seattle delivered the most violent, emotional, and unpredictable card of 2026 so far. 9 finishes in one night. A former champion knocked out and still refusing to retire. A co-main event so brutal, Dana White called it one of the greatest finishes in sports history. A fighter revealing he almost took his own life just weeks before the biggest win of his career. And 2 veterans walking away from the sport forever in the same fight. All of that in one night in Seattle. Let's break down everything. Joe Pyfer just did what a lot of people thought he couldn't do. He finished Israel Adesanya. The 14th ranked middleweight walked into Climate Pledge Arena on Saturday night and stopped the former 2-time champion by TKO 4:18 into round 2. Adesanya actually looked good in the first round. He was finding his range with the jab, chewing up Pyfer's lead leg, and stuffing the clinch and takedown attempts. Pyfer landed a clean right and had a few moments, but Adesanya was controlling the distance and looking like the version fans had been waiting to see for the last 3 years. Early in round 2, Adesanya was still flowing. Power kicks from both stances, clean combinations, body work, head work. Then the whole fight flipped. Adesanya stopped moving and started trading in the pocket, and Pyfer cracked him with a hard right hook that sent him back to the cage. From there, Pyfer stayed calm. He picked the right shots, got the takedown, moved from mount to the back, flattened Adesanya out, and kept hammering away until Herb Dean had to jump in. Pyfer got a $100,000 Performance of the Night bonus and jumped from number 14 all the way to number 5 at middleweight. Adesanya dropped to number 9. That's the same guy who started his career 20-0 and won the middleweight title twice. But the fight wasn't the headline from Saturday night. What Pyfer said after the fight was. Standing in the octagon with Daniel Cormier, Pyfer broke down emotionally and told the world, "It's weird, DC. It's like I could see this moment happening. I almost took my own life a couple of weeks ago, and I found God. I hate crying, man, so I'm going to keep it together. God restored me, baby. That's the only reason I'm here. All glory to God for this victory, or else I'd be dead in a ditch somewhere." At the post-fight press conference, Pyfer opened up even more. He spoke about his childhood, his self-destruction, and the moment he finally decided to get therapy.
Yeah, I was a victim of my own self-destruction. I had lust issues, just this toxic cycle of coping. Nothing drug-related or anything like that, but I had a dream where I was disgusted about who I was. I broke a lot of people's hearts around me, particularly one person that that I never will hurt again. And shit, man, I just disgusted with myself.
That person is his girlfriend Ashlyn, who he's been with for over 6 years. Pyfer told the media, "Her name's Ashlyn, she's been my girlfriend for over 6 years, thinking about marriage, family, and putting God at the center of everything. That's what I feel like my true legacy is. Before, I thought fighting was everything. I didn't know who I was outside of it." Dana White hadn't heard the interview live. When reporters told him backstage what Pyfer had revealed, his reaction was immediate.
He said he was considering suicide a couple weeks ago.
That's what he said, right?
Holy shit. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen his story, like he's found religion recently and seems to have had some personal issues and stuff, so that's what he was referring to.
Yeah, that is unfortunate to hear.
Pyfer also addressed the B. Joe Pyfer meme that went viral earlier in his career, saying, "The B. Joe Pyfer, who I was as a person, is dead. But the B. Joe Pyfer thing will live on in a much greater way now, where people can be inspired by it, and it actually means something. I'm proud of who I am right now." Whatever you think about what happened inside the cage, what Pyfer shared outside of it was one of the realest moments we've had in the UFC in a long, long time. A guy walked into the biggest fight of his career just weeks after the lowest point of his life, and came out the other side as a top 5 middleweight with a $100,000 check and a story that's going to stick with people for a while. Now, Adesanya, 4 straight losses, easily the worst stretch of his career, and he's not going anywhere. When Daniel Cormier asked him how he moves forward, Adesanya didn't even pause. His exact words, "You keep going."
keep going again and again and again and again and again. I'm not fucking leaving. You'll never stop me. I might get beaten, but I'll always remain undefeated.
He's now 24-6. He started 20-0. His last win came in April 2023 when he knocked out Pereira at UFC 287. And that was nearly 3 years ago. His last 3 losses have all come by stoppage. He's 36. When asked about the shift in strategy that led to the loss against Pyfer, Adesanya explained, "I said before coming into this fight, it's been 13 months. I wanted to feel like I'd been in a fight, and he gave me just that. So like I said to him at the weigh-ins, they gave me a shot, now it's my turn to give him a shot. And he earned it." Dana White kept it diplomatic. He said Adesanya looked good before the finish, and he never brought up retirement. Now the question is, what comes next for a 36-year-old former champion on a 4-fight skid, and maybe heading outside the top 15 just to find his way back into the win column? The aura that made Adesanya one of the greatest middleweights we've ever seen is starting to fade, but he clearly has no intention of letting the story end here. The co-main event might have been even more violent than the main event. Alexa Grasso stopped Maycee Barber 2:42 into the first round, and the way it happened left the whole building stunned. Grasso cracked Barber with a left hook, landed another shot as she fell, then jumped straight on the back and locked in a rear naked choke on a fighter who was already unconscious. It all happened so fast, people weren't even sure if the finish was the knockout or the choke. Barber stayed down for several minutes. She wrapped herself around the referee's legs and looked like she was in real distress. She was eventually taken to the hospital along with Ignacio Bahamondes and Ricky Simone earlier in the night. Dana White didn't hold back when he got asked about it at the press conference.
I think it's one of the greatest finishes in the sport history, let alone this year or tonight or whatever. It was incredible.
Grasso got a $100,000 performance of the night bonus and snapped a 3-fight winless streak. She hadn't won since submitting Valentina Shevchenko for the flyweight title at UFC 285 in March 2023, more than 3 years ago. Barber had come in on a 7-fight winning streak. That's over now. Barber posted on X the next day and said she doesn't remember much of what happened, other than seeing the videos of herself on social media looking dead on the canvas. And somehow, she still called it one of the greatest days of my life and promised she'd be back.
Well, this is not the post or video that I wanted to be making today, but I wanted to come on here and say thank you to the UFC and thank you to Alexa for the opportunity. I wanted to go out there and get my opportunity to get my rematch and dominate and get the win back. And unfortunately, it was not my night. I got caught, and Alexa did an amazing thing. She's a phenomenal fighter, and I don't really remember a whole lot. All I know is that every time I go on social media, I look like I'm dead, and that's not a very fun thing to see. So I've been trying to stay off of social media, but I also wanted to come on here and at least tell you guys that I am okay. I am very blessed to live the life that I do. As tough as it is, going out there and being able to do that, what I did last night, was still one of the greatest nights of my life. Despite all of that, that's still one of the better nights of my life that I've ever had. I've had some pretty tough days, so that was still one of the greatest days of my life, being able to walk out there and being able to do what I've done. So I will be back. I'm gonna heal up and put in the work and get back out there. So God is good all of the time, on the highs, on the lows. He's good all the time, so it doesn't matter. It's very hard because I don't remember a lot. So this is me saying thank you to everybody, and also I love you all.
Before all the chaos at the top of the card, Seattle got the kind of retirement moment this sport almost never gives you. Michael Chiesa made his final walk to the octagon on Saturday night in his home state of Washington, and he couldn't have scripted it better. He submitted Niko Price with a rear naked choke in 63 seconds. 63 seconds. 1 strike, 1 takedown, 1 submission attempt, 1 tap. And that was it. Chiesa is 38. He won the Ultimate Fighter Season 15 back in 2012 by submitting Al Iaquinta, and he closed his career the same way, with his signature move in front of his family, his friends, and a crowd that had been with him from the second he walked out. Chiesa jumped over the cage to hug his wife, came back for an emotional interview with Daniel Cormier, and then left his gloves in the middle of the octagon. His post-fight words? It's hard to encapsulate my feelings into any type of words. This week has been incredible. It's been surreal, and it just cements my retirement. It doesn't get better than this. 9 career submissions, the 4th most in UFC history, a 20-7 record, and now he moves into the next chapter as a UFC broadcaster. Niko Price, who was also making his final walk, retires at 16-11. 2 veterans walking away on the same night in the same fight. You almost never get that in this sport. After all of that, Dana White sat down at the post-fight press conference and gave updates on the 2 biggest names that weren't even on this card. Asked about Conor McGregor and a possible July return, Dana said,
Ali was out there talking, saying July, and it's August that we're looking at.
Is Conor McGregor fighting in July?
Possibly.
Do we have potential?
Nothing's done.
Okay. But is
nothing's even remotely close to being done.
Okay. But is that something you would look forward to doing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you more optimistic than before that Conor is going to fight? Because obviously it's been a couple of years.
I am.
Okay.
I am. I was pretty optimistic at the end of last year. So, end of last year, going into this year, I'm still confident.
We covered the McGregor update and all the back and forth with his camp in the last video, so here's the short version. Still no deal, still optimism. Still the most exhausting maybe in the sport. McGregor is reportedly the most tested fighter in the UFC this year, so the drug testing side seems to be taken care of. The money side obviously isn't. On Islam Makhachev, Dana repeated what he had already said on social media earlier in the week. No opponent. August is the target. That's where things stand. While all of this was going on in Seattle, Colby Covington was down in Tampa taking care of business at RAF 07. He beat Dillon Danis by tech fall 14-4. Danis actually held a surprising 4-4 tie after the first period, which basically nobody expected. Then Covington came out in the second, ripped off 10 straight points, and blew the match open. Afterward, the two embraced, said a few words, and Covington called out Chris Weidman for his next RAF appearance. He's now 2-0 on the RAF mats after beating Luke Rockhold at RAF 05 back in January. In the main event, Arman Tsarukyan ran through Georgiopoulos in the rematch. That rivalry really started after the two brawled following Tsarukyan's controversial win at RAF 06 last month, and the promotion moved fast to run it back. Tsarukyan said after the win, "It was so important to win this match." That's now 4 competitions outside the UFC for Tsarukyan in 2026 alone, with wins over Lance Palmer and Muhammad Makhachev in there too. Quick hits from the rest of the UFC Seattle card before we get out of here. 9 finishes in 13 fights. Terrance McKinney finished Kyle Nelson in 24 seconds, which is insane even for him. He also got a $25,000 finish bonus under the new system. Larian Douglas knocked out Julian Erosa in the first round for his first UFC win. Yusri Belgaroui put away Mansour Abdul Malik with a knee in round 3. Tofik Musayev and Ignacio Bahamondes got fight of the night for a bloody, grinding 3-round war. And Bruce Buffer announced the wrong winner in the Tyrell Fortune vs. Marcin Tybura fight, then had to correct it. 3 fighters were taken to the hospital after the card: Barber, Bahamondes, and Ricky Simone. This was one of the most violent UFC cards in recent memory, and easily the most stacked fight night of the Paramount era so far. Let's pull it all back together. In one night in Seattle, Joe Pyfer went from number 14 to number 5, and told the world he almost didn't make it there alive. Adesanya took a 4th straight loss and then shouted into the mic that he's not leaving. Grasso gave us what Dana White called one of the greatest finishes in sports history. Chiesa got to leave the sport on his own terms in 63 seconds, and after everything that happened, Dana White still can't tell you when McGregor or Makhachev are fighting next. 9 finishes, 3 hospital trips, 2 retirements, one of the most emotional, chaotic nights this sport has given us in years. So make sure you're subscribed because the middleweight division just got blown wide open, and the fallout from this card is going to shape the next 3 months of matchmaking. I'll see you next time.